If you have a website, you'll need to have an analytics tool to help you know what your visitors are doing and where they're coming from. In this video, I'll help you install Google Analytics 4 and configure 5 settings to better obtain better metrics. Okay, to create a Google Analytics 4 property, you need to go to analytics.google.com. So go ahead and search for it, Google Analytics, and go ahead and click on their link. If you already have an account with them, you'll just have to select the account you want to use. But if you don't, you may have to create one. Being that I already have one, it'll take me to my account, and from there, whatever the case may be, to create the property, you need to go to your admin dashboard. You do this by clicking on the gear icon located on the bottom left of the page. Go ahead and click on that. And then depending on if you already have an account, again, go ahead and select the account you want to create the property for. If not, go ahead and create an account, which I will have here. And our dummy account would be Flower That Dough. From there, you can just select what kind of sharing data settings you want to have. I'm not going to select any, but depending on what you need, go ahead and click on it, select them, and then click next. Then it'll take you to the property. Because this is a new account for the Google Analytics, once I created my account, it automatically took me to create a property. Had I already had an account, I would have clicked on the little blue button on the middle of the page on the dashboard that says create property. Here it would take me to this location. So I want to call it the property name, Flower That Dough. I'm going to select the time zone. So if you have so with Google Analytics 4, you can have multiple properties for a single account. Depending on whether you have a few stores, a few websites, what have you. You want them, if you do have multiple properties, you want to select the one that's going to be retain the data the most, or for the metrics. So you want to make sure you have that time zone selected. Again, and also you want to make sure you select the correct currency. Be it that we're in the United States, we're going to use US dollars. Go ahead and click next. And it'll ask you to provide some, to describe your business. It's pretty self-explanatory. It'll describe your business. For this one, we're gonna say it's food, because it's a baking website. So where is food and drink? Depending on what your business is, go ahead and select the one that's more appropriate. I'm gonna select small. Go ahead and click next. And here are their business objectives as far as what you want to, what kind of data you want to collect with your Google Analytics 4 account or property. I'm going to select generate leads, drive online sales, raise brand awareness, examine user behaviors. This will let you know how they came about to your website, either through through your desktop, a laptop. Was it an ad, what have you. And then that's about it. If you want to select the gate baseline reports, go ahead and select that. It's basically for multiple types of reports, but unfortunately this option can't be combined with other options. So I selected these 4. Go ahead and create, and then you have to agree. I'm agreeing to everything. Make sure you read everything if you want. I'm going to go ahead and agree with it. And then that's it. Once you've put your property information together, it's going to take you to start collecting data. Here, you want to start collecting your data if it's by website, if it's an Android app, or if it's an Apple iOS app. Because this is a website, I'm going to select web. And then I need to put the URL for the website. So it is flourthatdough.com, and I'm going to call it Flour That Dough. The enhanced measurements, this is, as you can read, it automatically measures interactions and content on your site in addition to standard page view measurements, meaning these are your basic clicks and measurements that instead of you having to create these events and conversions, it automatically does it, but it's in a more generalized term, and unfortunately it doesn't give you too much of a fine details, so you'll still end up, it's beneficial if you still end up creating your own events and conversions so you can keep track of them, but at least with this enhanced measurements you get the basic baseline. So you want to go ahead and select and go ahead and turn them on, and then if you want to configure them, click on the little gear icon. Page views, these are pretty self-explanatory, you can read them, and these are all set to go. All right, go ahead and create the stream, and once this is created, it's gonna take you to the installation instructions. And again, had it not taken me here directly, you would have to select this option manually, in which this where would you click to get to this page. So because this is metrics that are going to be acquired through Google Tag or through Google's Google Tag framework, we're not going to be using Google Tag Manager or any of that, or any kind of third party. We're going to do it manually. This is where you would go to get the script. If your website is a CMS or it has a website builder, you would select install with a website builder or CMS, and you would enter your website's URL. You would scan it depending on the platform that you're using, either Shopify, WordPress, Monster Insights, what have you, or Show 7 More. You can select it, and it'll automatically provide that information for you. But again, we're going to be installing it manually, so go ahead and click on install manually. We're going to go ahead and copy, or just copy here, and you want to make sure that this script is on every page. And because most websites now have a header that is global, depending on how it's built, you want to make sure that this is on the head section of your website. And this is going to embed or integrate the Google Tag Manager GTag framework called gtag.js. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and put it on the website here, and let me go ahead and put it. We're actually doing this live, so this will be in our website, which is actually here, flowerthatdough.com. So as you notice, if you right click and you go to the view page source, you'll notice that it's not there yet, but let me go ahead and upload it. And once that's done, I'll go ahead and refresh. And there it is right here. You'll see the Google tag right there. Now this, compared to the Google Analytics, the universal tag, it did, Google Analytics only had the tag for that particular platform, which is Google Analytics. Because this is now a global for every Google platform, like Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics, Looker Studio and whatnot. This tag, this script will be, you'll be able to merge all the different platforms by using this tag. So now that it's there, we can go ahead and go back and see how it's going. View tag instructions. All right. Looks like it's good. You'll have that, and data collection is pending. So it'll take a while. It says you successfully created your account and property. It may take up to 48 hours before your property starts collecting data, and that's fine. Let's go ahead and continue home. And so there is no data collection, but While we wait for that, and I'll go ahead and show it here later. While we wait for that, we want to make sure that the Google Analytics 4 property is set up correctly. All right, while we wait for the tag to take effect, we're going to go over the 5 settings that you want to make sure are configured on your Google Analytics 4 property. They are domains to track, data retention, define unwanted referrals, changing your session duration, and internal data filters. We'll go ahead and start with domains to track. Go into your dashboard, go into data streams, select the data stream, which is follow that doe or your property. And you also want to go scroll down and configure tag settings. Scroll down and select configure your domains. This is where you specify a list of domains that you want to take measurements for in case you have more than one domain. Go ahead and click on it, and you want to add the conditions. Here you'll add the domains which contain whatever your domain is. Let's say, for instance, mydomain.com, and then you have another website you want to collect information or data from, myotherdomain.com, and then let's say you have another one, mythirddomain.com, or what have you. Once that's done, go ahead and click on save, and that's it. But because they don't exist, I'll just go ahead and delete those, and that's it. Okay, so next we'll do data retention. Go ahead and scroll down and select data settings, click on data retention, and select 14 months. Now your data will be retained for up to 14 months, where before the default was only 2 months. Go ahead and click save, and that's it. Now let's set up your internal data filter. To avoid GA4 from collecting your internal traffic of your team or yourself when you visit your own website. This is a 2-step setup. You'll need to create a list of IPs you wish to exclude and then activate the internal filters. How it works is you create a reference that contains a list of IPs, and then Google Analytics 4 dismisses any metric with that reference attached to its data. So you want to go to data streams. Again, select your data stream. Scroll down to configure tag settings. And then expand by showing all and clicking on define internal traffic. Here you'll create the IP addresses that you wish to exclude, and we'll call them we'll call the rule Green Monkeys Studio, and the traffic type value. This is the reference value or the reference label that GA4 will be looking for in order to exclude it from the metrics. It can be called internal, it can be called meow mix, it can be called orange fish, whatever you want to call it. For now, we'll call it meow. And then you want to enter your IP addresses which match the types. You'll have an option of either the IP address with these options or CIDR notation and or regular expressions. Let's go ahead and select IP address that equals. I want to put in my IP address, and if I have any more, I can go ahead and continue adding more IP addresses. Once you're done, click on create. Remember the traffic type value, because you'll need that for the internal filter. Head back on over to the main dash. And then under data settings, this is where you're going to activate it. Go ahead and click on data filters, create filter. By default, it creates a testing one, but if you want to create your own, you're more than welcome. Or if you want to change this one, go for it. But we're going to go ahead and create a filter, internal traffic. I'm going to call it, again, whatever I want to call it, the data filter name, Green Monkey Team. Green Monkeys Team. I want to exclude it. And here you're going to enter the reference label or the value, which was meow. And then you want to go ahead and activate it. Go ahead and create. Usually it'll, by default, it'll ask if you want to test it first, but we already know it's going to work. So go ahead and click on activate filter because I'm the only one working on it. The filter is now active. Great. And that's it. You've now created a filter. Now to test it out, let's go ahead and go to reports. Go to real time. And let's refresh. And there's nothing there. It's not reporting because I'm being filtered. Now, let's go ahead and test to make sure. Let's go and deactivate it. Go to data settings, data filters. Let's go ahead and deactivate it for now. So even though your IP list is still there, because we deactivated the actual filter, it's not going to be implementing it. So now that it's deactivated, we're going to let it run for a bit. And within a couple of seconds, maybe a few minutes, it'll start showing that I'm there. Maybe I have to refresh it one more time. And we'll come back to it, and it should notify me that someone from my location is there, which will be me, since this is not this is not an active website. And that's it. All right, so defining your unwanted referrals. For example, when someone pays with PayPal, they'll be taken to a paywall gateway. And then when it's a success, they'll be sent back to your website, which will count as a visit, and you want to avoid that. So to define your unwanted referrals, you want to go to your data streams, select your data stream, scroll down to configure tag settings, click on show all, scroll down, and selects list unwanted referrals. Here again, you can define what websites or domains you want to exclude from being counted as a referral. Let's say we want paypal.com to be excluded because of that paywall. We'll go ahead, and if you have more, go ahead and click on add condition. But let's go ahead and save it for now. And that's it. You're done. PayPal will no longer be counted as a referral. And lastly, we want to go ahead and change your session duration. Go to data streams, select your data stream, scroll down to configure tag settings, go ahead and expand it by clicking on show all, scroll down and select adjust session timeout. So for the adjust session timeout, what this means is that after, take for instance, if you're about to purchase an item from a website, and you want to do some research or something catches your eye and you open up a new tab. Now your website is no longer active because now you're visiting some other website, some other new tab. And because it's set to 10 minutes, if you're away from your website for more than 10 minutes, when you go back, let's say you remember that you need to complete your order, you go back and now because it's past 10 minutes, Google Analytics 4 is going to consider that as a new data set, a new metric. And so you want to avoid that because that can skew your numbers. So we want to go ahead and change that to about 3 hours. This obviously is more than enough time for someone to go to your website, do whatever they're doing or need to do, and then go back to complete whatever they were initially doing on your website. The other thing is your engaged session. For example, this entails, let's say you're talking to somebody, and if you're talking to two people, one person is engaged for 10 seconds, the other person is listening for 30 seconds up to a minute. Which person is more engaged? Or who could you tell that's more engaged? The person that's only listening to you for 10 seconds and probably goes somewhere else, or someone that's actually listening for 30 seconds or longer? It's a sure thing that the person listening to you for 30 seconds or more is the one that's truly engaged. So that's why we want to go ahead and click on 30 seconds, because that gives a pretty good data set determining that the person that's visiting your website for more than 30 seconds is truly engaged. And that's it. Go ahead and click save. And that's you're all done. These are the 5 things that you should set up on your property to make sure your data sets are correct. I hope you found this video informative. Like and subscribe to help me create more tutorials that will help elevate your SEO skills.